Very good afternoon. Why this panel? As you have heard today, NCDs, non-communicable diseases, are among the main challenges facing healthcare systems globally. And they add social burden as well due to the major economic costs through loss of productivity. Globally, diabetes, respiratory disease, coronary cardiovascular diseases and cancer account for over 80% of all premature deaths due to NCDs. In Saudi Arabia, NCDs are responsible for 73% of all deaths. The impact of this global epidemic can be reduced through appropriate control measures. Preventing premature mortality, morbidity, and disability requires reductions in chronic disease risk factors such as tobacco use and physical activity. Furthermore, it requires understanding of the disease itself. In Saudi Arabia, the focus is on preventive care and early intervention to prevent diseases before they occur by empowering individuals and providing them with appropriate tools and information using modern means of technology like artificial intelligence. Therefore, I am very pleased to have with me three distinguished experts discussing if and how artificial intelligence could support us in the management of NCDs. Professor Khalid Al-Rubeyan. He is a professor of endocrinology and internal medicine, working currently as director of the Research and Scientific Center at Sultan bin Abdul Aziz Humanitarian City. He is the editor-in-chief for International Journal of Diabetes Mellitus and Al-Sukhari magazines. He has published more than 150 scientific papers, and in 2022 was recognized as one of the top 2% career-long citation scientists in the world by Stanford University. And in 2017, he was awarded for the best medical book in the Riyadh Book Fair. Very welcome. Dr. Meshari Al-Washmi is a digital health epidemiologist and entrepreneur with over a decade of experience in integrating innovative technologies into traditional medical practices. As a thought leader in the digital health sector, he advises multiple initiatives and serves on prestigious boards like Forbes Technology Council and the University of Toronto Centre for AI Research and Education in Medicine. Dr. Al-Washmi is passionate about transforming healthcare through technology, enhancing patient-centered approaches and driving impactful solutions in the industry. And last but not least, Dr. Imed Kallouzi is a distinguished biochemist specialized in mRNA metabolism and its regulation during the cell cycle. Currently, he serves as a professor of bioscience and chair of the KAUST Center of Excellence for Smart health. He has held several prestigious positions and is actively engaged in international scientific communities and, of course, passionate about artificial intelligence. So, we get to the discussion. Professor Khalid Al-Rubean, you have a long experience working with patients with NCDs, and in particular diabetes. And therefore, I would like to ask you, based on your vast experience, what are the most urgent needs in the management of diabetes and why? And also, if you could tell us what would be the value of bringing artificial intelligence to this?
Yeah.
And maybe also, if you talk about diabetes, whether bringing artificial intelligence to diabetes would at the same time help other NCDs.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and it's really a pleasure for me to speak about NCDs in general and AI in particular. I have to tell you that chronic diseases is chronic. So when you have a chronic disease, you have more data. So if you have more data, you can always play with the data and get some very useful information. Now, if you go back to 50 years back, when managing these diseases, like, for example, diabetes, there was a problem even adjusting or even measuring blood glucose. But these days, things are really advancing, and we are now having more and more diagnostic tools, not only to diagnose the disease, but also to do a follow-up of the disease, plus a lot of changes that the patient will also manifest. Now, the amount of data which you can gather from a chronic patient is so huge that, unfortunately, in the old time, we were not using. But now it is the time that you can really collect these data and you can predict, not only to predict what is going to happen, but also what is the best way of managing those people. Now, I'll give you an example. A lot of scientific literature is talking about the effect of duration of a disease on certain complications, like, for example, retinopathy. Now, with the AI, you can always predict and even calculate what would happen. Our experience in Saudi Arabia have started from 2001, honestly, with the National Registry. And we have in the registry more than 150,000 patients. All those patients were really uploaded into the system, that we found that it is very wealthy, that we can really not only improve in diagnosing those cases, but also predicting the complication before it can happen. Not only this, the AI can take you from just simple clinical data into a geographical data, into a highly statistical data that can even invent a new method in diagnosis or even in the management.
Thank you very much. You, in fact, very nicely combined my next question, which goes to Dr. Imed Kallouzi regarding the data. As you have been developing new AI-based tools, and in order to develop these tools, big amounts of data is needed, as we heard. What are your most significant insights from the past for the future regarding data? What should we take into account?
So first, thank you for inviting me, being part of this panel. It's a great honor to share the stage with my esteemed colleagues. So for us at KAUST, one of our mission in the center is really to build, like you mentioned, tools for data collection and data mining. So one of the challenge, of course, is access to this data. So from the beginning, one focus is to build partnership. So without partnership, we cannot build these tools and make it effective. And our partnership spans from government stakeholders, health institutions, as well industry. So this is now, at KAUST, systematically, we are building a process to strengthen this partnership. We already have several. One of them was Amplify. My colleague may mention that. So, and we have several concrete examples. So the big challenge, of course, when you have this wealth of amount of data, like Dr. Khalid mentions, is how you collect them, what are the procedure you collect them. You always, because these data are given up by patients, so you have patient consent. So all that, we need our partner because we don't have a hospital in KAUST. And that's a good thing, in a way, because allow us as an academic institution to test our tools that we develop academically in our labs in these various applications. So the other, also the vision that we are putting forward in KAUST and in the center, and I'm honored to lead, is really how can you also build training programs to enable our technologists who are mastering AI, the knowledge AI, they know about health, but also they know how to mine these health data and build algorithm for these various applications. I can give one example that comes to my mind. During COVID, our university, of course, asked many of us, I did not join at that time, I joined only literally at the beginning of COVID, but scientists to use their capacity to build tools to address the pandemic. One of our colleagues took AI, he's an expert in AI, and built a tool that take CT scans, regular CT scans, analyze them with his algorithm, and identify micro lesions that normally a naked eye or a professional cannot see. And that, using that knowledge, the algorithm can predict whether the patient will develop the secondary effect or the dire effect of COVID that will send them to ICU, or they can go home or predict the outcome. And that was used by our collaborator, again, partnership, King Faisal Special Hospital. Colleagues there tested this algorithm and it was working. So that's one of the examples, and we have several others.
So basically, there is a recognized need. Then you, as an academic, you find solutions, and or at least partly together with your partners. And Dr. Meshari Al-Washmi, you also have, you are developing AI-based products, and you support their deployment into the healthcare setting. So could you provide us a real-life example of this, and explain also what were the success factors and main obstacles, and what can we all learn from this experience?
Absolutely. Thank you all for having me here. It's a privilege to be among these two valuable experts and partners. In terms of an example, a key thing that we're working on at Amplify Health. Unfortunately, every 20 seconds, someone around the world loses their foot. It's because of a complication related to diabetes. This issue costs about 8 billion riyals in Saudi Arabia, about $138 billion in the US. And early detection could reduce that by 80%. So what we did, we took thermal cameras and gathered data from thermal imaging, combined it with AI to be able to predict the occurrences of these foot ulcers, so it can be a screening program. This is what we're working on, and there is more to add and more to create in this solution in collaboration with our partners in KAUST, when we introduce also hyperspectral cameras, another type of cameras that has never been brought to healthcare in that way. You mentioned what are the success factors and what are the barriers. There are some barriers, but it's more like challenges. So it's solvable, which is a great thing. And we are in a place where, and timing that if you go back 5 years ago to do what we're trying to do today, it would be extremely difficult. One of the biggest challenges was regulation. So to bring in a new technology and to regulate it is not easy. But the success and key factors there is, for example, having the Ministry of Health sandbox, the Saha virtual sandbox, the regulatory sandbox that was created, facilitated our conversations with the Saudi FDA, and they also have an innovative pathway. So that allowed us to be able to do the clinical trials required, obtain the certifications from the ISO certification for medical devices 13485 and others to be able to get through and bring the technology to market. Another barrier, I think, if are there colleagues that are CEOs or companies raising in the ecosystem, is investment. So investment in the space with the theme invest in health can be quite tricky if you're talking to the wrong investor. If you talk to investors that are comfortable with investing, let's say, in real estate or other businesses where you can get to market very quickly, it would be a different conversation when it comes to healthcare. But a facilitator or a success factor that helped us and will help all of you in healthcare is the availability of non-dilutive funding. We've seen the National Technology Development Program launch programs to help funding ideas at a pre-revenue stage to bring them to market. We're seeing more work from RDIA announced yesterday that there is more programs created to help show value in these technologies. So in pre-revenue, there is a lack of investments, but there is and will continue to be an increasing number of opportunities to help you take your product to market and scale.
And what would you say about the time span? What is the realistic time span from the need to the real?
It's quite tricky. It will depend on many factors. One is, as you all said, the availability of data is a big one. Are there data available about this problem? Are there open data sets? The professor collected massive data sets that will help many innovators to come to market quickly. So is there available data? And how fast do you develop your solution? How fast do you understand the need of the market and who would want to use it? All of these things can be addressed in a way simultaneously in the same time to be able to bring it to the market faster.
Would any of you, either you or you, comment on any?
So for me, when you ask the question about the time span, is really come to my mind two things. One is I hope there is a majority of agreement, AI will not replace doctors. Like my colleague Jane Gao said, AI will not replace doctors, but doctors who will not be versed or know AI may lose their job or will not find job 5 or 10 years from now. So knowing that, the time frame is, I agree with my colleague, is availability of data, but also technology. So the availability of the professional who will develop this. How fast, how versed they are, because now we have very talented colleagues in AI, very talented biologists, but we don't have trainees that are talented in both. And that is the type of professional we need to speed up the development of these tools.
Professor.
Yeah, what I could, time is important, but let me take you back a little bit. Physicians in the past used to deal with paper, patient's file. And now we are dealing with electronic file, the HIS system and different other systems. I think with time, maybe it will take maybe 5 to 10 years, I will not be surprised that each physician will have his own patients in his mobile where he will see how good he is and what is happening with different patients and so on and so forth. And he will be learning from the data. In the past, the data was in the paper, and now it is in the HIS system. Unless you go and dig it there and get the information, I don't think. AI is going to do something, I think, superior here, that it will collect his patients, it will deal with the data, and provide him with good ideas and maybe smart things. So I think leave it with the time, it will come. But I will not be surprised that one day the physicians will just look at, in his home, will look at his list of patients with all the nice figures pumping here and there and giving him, he will learn from his own data.
Exactly. So it will definitely be a good tool for putting things together for us to look at. You would like to have a quick comment?
Just very quick comment. In terms of time, I want to remind everybody, remember COVID, the pandemic was solved, a big part of it, because of AI, because it took 2 weeks for AI tools to help predict the right sequence of mRNA that Moderna and AstraZeneca and other company took and produced the vaccine within few months. And that would have never been possible elsewhere where the vaccine development takes 5 to 10 to 15 years, just to mention the importance how AI can shrink the timing.
Exactly, and your example was definitely excellent one. So if you then think, maybe our audience, so from the perspective of a clinician, an academic, or an AI innovator, what is needed, in your view, to effectively integrate artificial intelligence into clinical practice while ensuring data privacy, security, and also the trust of patients, healthcare professionals, but also population? So would you like to start?
Yeah. I think the stream of data, which is now found in different hospitals and all these systems, I think the kingdom is now moving into digitalizing everything, including the patient's file. They are going to unify the patient's file. I think this is going to be an extremely important things to do. This type of unification will really help the health system, not only providing with different clinical advices and so on, but also it will cover the other. Sometimes we don't know how much disease is costing. With AI, it will be just with a click, we will know. Sometimes we don't know how much social impact is having and how much this disease is having on the social impact. I think we have found it in our diabetes registry. I can tell you, not only this, but even the geographical. I will just give you a small example. We noted, for example, in Taif region, that there are a group who bleed in their retina faster than other areas in the kingdom. And finally, when we dig out, we found those people that goes every Friday to pray in Mecca and go back. So we discovered that the altitude can really affect the retinopathy. Without the AI, I don't think you can really predict these things or discover these things.
Thank you. Dr. Meshari.
Absolutely. I think from our point of view is whenever you bring a technology to healthcare, the first question is how is and who is going to pay for it? So sometimes it's out of pocket, but ideally it's covered by insurance or some sort of a payer. There's a lot of changes that are happening with the establishment of the insurance authority and others. So innovative payment models that could cover this will make it more sustainable. So if we're able to, I think as innovators, we'll have to come up with the evidence that shows that this intervention will improve lives, improve the quality of the patient and the clinician, and reduce cost. If you can show this in a health economic analysis, that could help facilitate the payment models, but I think being open to embrace new payment models would help a lot.
And is that happening already?
It's in the process.
Please.
So in my opinion also, there is a big need to develop algorithms that can capture data, like Dr. Khalid said, from different sources. Because one of the key challenges, specifically in biobanking, for example, or other activity where data is collected, the different sources that provide these data, there are a wealth of data, whether nationally or globally. The problem, how to mix them. If you have data, for example, genetic data with environment data, lifestyle, etc., how can we connect them for the tools to really give us what we need from help for diagnosis, for prediction, and for prevention? So that's one thing that's really the big thing that needs to be solved. The other thing is also from evidence, build really the case for evidence-based approaches, specifically for example, I'm sure many of you heard the Nobel Prize was given to AI, and the AI tools that will predict structure of proteins and also identify complex structures. That is a key tools for drug repurposing, for example. Finding drugs, for example, that already exist and have other application. Do they have, can they solve other indication or other diseases. That, more we do that, more we push our scientists to combine those tools, and again, training scientists to know AI and apply them on the day-to-day in the labs and in clinic, that's also key.
What about training general public?
That's a very good point, because I don't think we are doing a very good job outreach to the public to really almost explain AI and also tell the public that AI is not going to replace you in your job. Because this is, we are not doing, I mean, we, not me as an expert, I'm not an AI person, but as a community, we are not doing a great job that telling people AI is an enhancer. It's not a replacer. It's not a tool that will replace us as individuals. So that's why a strong program for outreach and make the public understand better the application. In fact, our kids, and I'm sure many of you relate to that, they use their iPad and they know more about AI than us. So
I think to that topic, to that point, I'd like to add, I think evolving and raising the awareness among the public is key, but also involving them in the creation of the product itself. Absolutely. And we have our colleague Omar here. He's make sure that we bring the clinicians to have an input on what are we developing. When we create these usability studies, understand what are the requirements, how do they want this to get in the workflow, and as we introduce new tools to public and individuals themselves, we bring them to the room and make sure that we create solutions that fit in their lives as opposed to forcing it in their lives.
Yeah, I think with the growth, with the fast growth of AI, regulations and legalities has to be really drawn very carefully. Now, dealing with AI, patient and physician relationship is going to be a very serious issue. I know that some patients are really trying to use some of these applications, and they are coming up with different ideas, and sometimes even going into pharmaceutical components and so on and so forth. I think we have to also educate the public that there is certain limitation for AI, that a physician will read it from one angle, but the public has to really be very careful when they are trying to apply it for themselves.
So overall, listening you, gentlemen, I think AI in supporting us in tackling non-communicable diseases, there is a big future. However, it needs laying the ground, it needs finding the right partners, and it needs innovation within innovation, like innovative financing, also that these can be deployed to everybody. So is that the good place to stop this panel, I mean? Or would you like to say your...
So if I may, AI, I think the way, first of all, you're absolutely correct. AI is an enhancer and a tool that will help us go 100,000-fold faster than we can normally. AI will help us, for example, solve bigger questions. One of the questions, how we will define obesity. Is it BMI only or other factors? It's so complex indication for non-communicable diseases that AI is the tool to go to gather all the data to have simple definition. The other one is aging. What do we mean by aging? How we define wellness and fitness. Is it because I'm 80 years old and I can run 100 meters in 15 seconds, I'm fit? Or not? So that's AI also can identify those. That's how my last message.
Very good. Your last message.
My last message would be, I think, perfection is the poison of creativity. Sometimes you need to get started, maybe messy in the beginning, but things get better. Just like, I think, coming into the conference, comparing it to LEAP, it was a bit harder to get into LEAP. Things got fixed, and it was very smooth this time, and it will continue to get better. That's how life goes and how it works. We just need to start and get going.
I think medicine is following all sciences, like different sciences, and it's going to use this tool, and it will be for the best of humanity.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And thank you for you audience listening. And I hope you got a deep dive to AI and NCDs. Thank you.